So my name is Shawn Welch. I'm manager of printing services here at the University of Minnesota. And we're going to take a little bit of time now, and I appreciate Chris sharing all the information about augmented reality. And really we want to look now at what does this mean to us as university communicators. Not that this is going to be a gimmick, but really how do we use it to communicate more effectively with our audiences and to try and make that a little bit more real, and then to start having a discussion and a thought process and brainstorm sessions about how really can we incorporate this to make it most effective for what we're doing here at the university. We're up.
I think so, yeah.
All right. You want to just advance to the next one?
Yeah, I can.
I like this quote by Matt Simzik. It says, AR should be used to enhance content, not replace it. The main challenge is understanding that AR is not a digital strategy, but rather a digital tactic that can enhance the campaign across multiple platforms. In other words, we're not using interactive print or augmented reality to replace anything else that we're doing in communication. It's really meant as a supplement for what we're already doing. It doesn't replace a sound web strategy. It doesn't replace a print campaign. In fact, it works in concert with print and uses print as that vehicle. So the key for us at the university, I think, really is to really think about how we incorporate this into what we're doing to make the overall communications more effective. And in thinking about printing, we know that the industry of print and print communications have gone through a real evolution over the last 5, 10, 15 years. And certainly a reduction in the print communications as we've seen digital communications become more prevalent. But I read an article recently that I thought addressed something that was very interesting to me, and that was this idea that what's old is new again. Now that we are being constantly bombarded with digital media, we're starting to tune some of that out as an audience. You think about your email and how many times you just delete it before you even look at an email, or open, delete, open, delete, open, delete without really thinking much about it. The banner ads on websites, all those things that are hitting us constantly, we're starting to become a little bit desensitized to some of those and not seeing those messages. And this idea that print, in a way now, is becoming more relevant. And as printing manager, I'm not here to tell you that printing is coming back and digital is going away. That would be absurd. But I think what's important to think about is how do we strategically use print? And that's how it ties in really well with augmented reality. But how do we use print to really capture the attention of our audiences? Now, if you think about people receiving print, this must be important because I'm getting it as a printed piece, because we're sending much more printed communications. We're getting so much digital. So a printed piece, and especially something from the university with that weight of the university on it, it says something to someone that they need to take a look at this. So we can think about print in that way as we work with augmented reality as an interactive print piece. The printed piece is going to draw that attention initially. Okay, this is something from the university. It's got some weight to it. It's important. It's a printed piece. I'm going to take a look at it. And then we use that augmented reality to really draw them in and to enhance that message and to expand the message from that point forward. So it might be a postcard that you can only put so much information in, but now it opens up a completely different world of communication. And so if we think about it that way, those two work very well in concert together. So what are the benefits of using AR to us? I think the most important is that we really have an actively engaged viewer. So if you think about someone who starts viewing an AR piece, whether it's something on a poster or a postcard or in a magazine, we're going to look at some examples of that. If they've chosen to view that technology, it's a choice that they've made. It's not been put in front of them. It's there. They choose not to use it. That's fine. If you think about a print ad, a radio ad, a TV ad, a magazine, it's a more passive response to that magazine. It's there that you don't necessarily look at it. You may not. But if you choose to engage in the AR, there's a higher return on investment because you've got someone who's actively a part of that process. And so because of that, there is a higher return on your investment. Response rates, if you look out there, there's a lot of different data about response rates and how they're increased through the use of augmented reality. There are different numbers depending on who tells you what they are. So I didn't include any of those here. As a whole, the suggestion is, of course, that it is much higher because of that engaged viewer. I just read something recently that someone who's engaged in an augmented reality piece on average stays involved with that piece for about 75 seconds. And that's actually a long time if you think about, that's about 2.5 seconds more than, say, a TV ad or a radio ad. So once they're engaged, they're staying engaged. And then there's those interactive elements that can bring you to other places like a website. The other piece that I think is really important about augmented reality is that you get a more authentic experience. Chris mentioned that you can get an experience by sitting on your living room couch in your house. So if we think about the university, instead of having someone tell you in an article, tell you in an ad what it's like to be on campus, you've got the opportunity to almost experience it right from your own living room with augmented reality. It changes the way you perceive it. I'm not being told that this is a wonderful place, I'm just trying to experience what it is before I even get there. So if we think about how we use augmented reality strategically, we can use it to create those more authentic experiences. And it's pretty fun. I mean, it's kind of cool. Augmented reality, when it was first developed, really that's kind of all it was. It was kind of doing these gimmicky, cool things, and you looked at it and you went, oh, that's cool. And there's still that element of it, but now with everything that's available to us and that the technology is becoming more readily available and mainstream, it really becomes a tool for communicating more effectively. And fun can be a part of that. You can just do something fun with it. But I think people are also seeing that they can scan something like this now and they know that there's something different about this. It can be interesting and exciting. And so it's engaging people a little bit more in the process. So for us at the university, what does that mean? And I just threw up a few ideas here to start thinking about. It really can help prospective students experience, as I just mentioned, the campus in a more real way. They can experience the culture halfway around the world and still have a good sense of what it's like to be here at the University of Minnesota. It may give donors a more personal look at the impact of their giving by sharing more personal accounts. It can provide an interactive experience that helps a first-year student engage more. We talk about how large the university always is, and for first-year students, how important it is to get that engagement. So we can think about how we use AR to do that. It might help visitors feel more comfortable on campus. Before you ever come to campus, you have the opportunity to really go and explore spaces. So how do we use it to do that? Really, it's about how do we more effectively communicate why we're so driven to discover here at the university. You know, what is it? We can think about a magazine cover for your alumni magazine that may have a researcher on the cover. In the past, that's it. It's a picture of a researcher and an invitation to read the article inside. Well, now scanning that cover, that researcher can come alive and for 30 seconds give a quick explanation about the research in a more personal, real way and give an invitation to read that feature story. And so you start to really get a more personal, interactive experience with that person, and we start to understand what's behind why they're doing this research. It's not just a picture on a page, it's real. So just some thoughts on how we can start thinking about incorporating, and just some suggestions with augmented reality. Think creatively. You know, I'm in a creative field, and for me and for all the designers here and people involved in this process, it's been really exciting. Because the more you ask questions, the more you explore possibilities, the more you start thinking about all the opportunities you have to incorporate video and other AR elements, it just keeps going. And one thought leads to another. And so I just encourage you to have those brainstorm sessions. And then plan ahead. It definitely takes more planning. As you're starting to think about how you design a piece, think about how those interactive elements might be incorporated. That doesn't mean you couldn't design something and at the end say, gosh, I'd love to make this an AR piece. You can do it. It just limits you then at that point. So the more you can think about it early on, the better off you'll be. Now again, a little plug here for us at Printing Services. Obviously this is something we're working on. We are offering video production services in general, and of course that video production works in very well with the augmented reality piece as well. We do have a small studio now with green screen technology also, and if anyone's interested in seeing that, it's right across that wall, and we'd be happy to show you what we've got available for anyone working on projects with us. We do have a full graphic design staff doing print and electronic media, and we're in AR production. You'll see some of these examples here in just a minute, and we offer digital and offset printing as well, including personalized printing, again thinking about how we target audiences and how we communicate more effectively through print. If you have any questions or want some more information, our website has a whole lot out there. Please feel free to visit that. Yes?
I'd like to ask a question.
Yep.
So I feel fairly technologically savvy, and I've never heard of AR before,
Okay.
and I didn't, is this logo, this AR logo, what people would use to know that that was an interactive piece?
Sure, they could.
Or
So
would
there
it
are
be
different
QR
companies
code?
offering, QR is one type of augmented reality. This is a more advanced version of that, kind of like the next level. There are different companies offering the service. The one that we're using is called Layar, L-A-Y-A-R. Blipper is another one that's very popular. You may have heard of Blipper. they would have a different little logo on theirs. Then there are others as well.
So I think my question is, like, if you invested in designing a piece with AR embedded in it, would your audience know what to do with that?
Likely not. Some might if they saw the logo. On pieces like the postcard that we sent you in the mail, hopefully you all got that. Let's see, we've got one here. We added some small instructions on this just to describe what you can do. If you haven't seen this, it's over here. You can scan this postcard actually as well. There's some wonderful acting. I do this every time I see it. But you can scan this one too. But some of those instructions are definitely helpful. I think and because this is a technology that's still emerging, and there are people who know about it, there are others who don't. Everything I'm reading says in the next year to 2 years, it's really going to become more mainstream. If you think about, you probably heard the term virtual reality as well. Virtual reality really refers more to that fully immersed, you've seen like Oculus glasses, that's really like you're immersing yourself completely in virtual reality. Augmented reality is really placing digital elements in a real setting. So you saw some of those examples, like the IKEA is a really good example where that furniture is dropped right into your living room. That's more of an augmented reality piece. And augmented reality has a lot more applications and I think will become much more mainstream, where virtual reality is great for entertainment and gaming and those kinds of things. But augmented reality it looks like it's really becoming more mainstream. And as it does, people will recognize those logos more too. So, Justin.
Do you know if Apple has any plans to like choose one of these augmented reality so that they will place into their phones apps as a standard app?
I don't know the answer to that. Does anyone else? Lisa knows.
No, I don't believe so. Because of how it works, they would have to offer a service. However, one possibility for the future is that this technology could be incorporated into an app that the university develops. So if the university wanted to have, if they were developing a new app, a University of Minnesota app, that technology can be put into it so that you no longer have to have the Layer app. You can just use that university app. So that is a possibility in the future. And
these are some of the things that we're just trying to explore right now. And I mean, full disclosure, we're jumping into this, kind of like diving in head first. And there's a lot to it, and we're learning a lot as we go as well. And so some of this is just what we're exploring, as we go into it as well. So.
I have a question. Are there any guidelines about accessibility and how that works with some of the videos and motion graphics? Like, are there guidelines for captioning, or what other things do we have to think about when it comes to making sure all audiences are accessible?
Sure, that's a great question. Do you have any thoughts on that, Lisa, or
no? No, not really. I guess
it's definitely a
something
challenge.
we would have to really think about. I mean, obviously there's maybe the possibility of putting some captioning on it, and I think that's especially an option with some of the more advanced features. So right now you can have, these are basically videos, but there is the possibility that there could be a little interactive button right on it where they could click that, and then the captioning would overlay on top of it. So that's definitely a possibility. I think it's just not something we've looked into a whole lot, but just thinking about it, I think that would work probably.
I guess the reason I think about it is because I know that we have on all our print pieces the disability access statement that's really important, and Disability Resource Center can help with that. But
Sure.
if they're not working on this new stuff, I don't know that they would even be able to advise on this either. If someone were to call us up and want, hey, how can I?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's probably something we should connect with them on and just see where they're at with it.
We don't get a lot of calls, but we do get a few. And we try to solve people's problems.
For sure. Yep. Any other questions? Let's get to the fun stuff. So some of you had a chance to, and I will say that we'll all be hanging around here afterwards. All of our design group is here, Julie and Lisa and Sisuk. We have our communications consultants here, Gary and Jan and Joe and Ann from Printing Services, and we'll have representatives from addressing and mailing here as well as the Postal Service. So you've got a whole lot of people here. If you have questions, if you just want to start brainstorming ideas, we're definitely around to do that. So here's some examples, and some of you took a look at these as you were coming in this morning, but I wanted to share with you quickly what you'll see if you come up afterwards here. We'll just open it up and you can check out some of the Postal Service books here, some of the postcards. and any of these posters, which are all include augmented reality. Just very quickly, here's what you'll see. If you haven't downloaded the Layer app, you'll want to do that. It's a free app, and you'll find it on the Play Store or the App Store. Just search for Layer, Layar. Download the app, open it up. You just hold it up to one of these posters and just tap the screen. It'll scan it. Basically what's happened is we've uploaded this visual into the system. It recognizes it, and it knows what to play. So it'll just scan it, you'll see it happening, and then it'll start playing whatever is there. Quickly, what you'll see down on the very end, this is actually a piece, Amy Leiden is here from McNamara. She was nice enough to let me borrow this. We had designed a piece for McNamara Alumni Center within the last year. There was a promotion for a new video they had on our website, and we sent out a bag of microwave popcorn and kind of made a fun movie thing out of it. And so I asked her if we could just use that idea and make a movie poster just for this example. So this is a movie poster for McNamara. If you scan that, it's going to pop up their video and play it like a movie. It's also going to give them some interactive buttons to read reviews and check out showtimes or something fun like that. So just an example of how you can use video. The next piece is one that we put together as an example of something you might do for a study abroad program. And it's really difficult when you think about something like that. You want to show as many images of all these wonderful places you can go in the world, but it's really hard on a printed piece. So what this one is, when you scan it, it's just a slideshow of images. So you can put in as many as you want, and you're just going to swipe through images. So it's just kind of a cool way to get more information out there that expands on the printed piece. And I'll say those two are relatively easy to put together. So in terms of cost, it's fairly low in terms of time commitment. Those are pretty straightforward. This next one's a little bit more complex. This one we use the green screen technology. This is one, if you're looking at prospective students, you want to show them what it's like to be here and have them kind of picture themselves on campus as a University of Minnesota student. When you scan this one, you're going to see some arms come up with a camera, and they're going to kind of scan the area, take a picture, and you'll see the picture of the person pop in there, and they're going to text something and send a picture to someone, and then go through about 3 scenes like that. It's just a fun way to help people see different scenes on campus and kind of visualize themselves being here. This one really is just a video piece. When you scan this one, you're going to see some motion graphics, some things are going to move around, and then it's just going to be some filtering through some video that we've taken on campus, just kind of generic scenes. Again, it's just a way to show people a little bit more of campus. Again, really straightforward to put together. You all know the Come Curious campaign. We used that for this piece. When you scan it, you're going to see some motion video going in of research happening through the letters. Again, you're going to see some motion graphics, and then also some peel-away effects going to some interior pages with some more video there. So some different ways to incorporate some cool things in it. And last, we're going to have an example of a magazine spread. I think if you think about your magazines, every spread really could be a scannable piece that's going to pop up with interviews or additional information, links, whatever you want it to be. So if you think about this as a spread, what we've done with this one is just taken this panoramic photo, and it's going to gradually scroll through this photo and pop up with different buildings and different things that are happening on campus. You can think about just educating people about what's cool about the university campus again. So that's what you'll see if you do this. So I invite you to come up, go ahead and scan it. The cool thing when you do it, you can actually move around. You can even scan it from over here. You can actually see video from an angle. So move around a little as you're doing it to start to see how it works. You do have to have it always framed in your camera, but you can move around. So actually, 3 of you could be here easily scanning and taking a look at any of these pieces over here to take a look at as well. Yep.
So once you get to the end of the video, does it stay on your phone?
It does.
Can you see it again?
And you can replay and you can save it.
Yeah, and there are different things. There are different things that are available too that are some of the more advanced features that we would invest in if people are really interested in this. And that would allow at the end of it buttons to pop up, call to action. Okay, now do this. And they can just click right there and it would bring them there. That's not available with what we're using today, but chances are tomorrow it is. So
that's some of what we're exploring right now, some of those advanced features. But we do have interactive features built into some of these with links and that type of thing too. So
Are these all just examples, or are these posters on campus anymore?
these are just examples we put together just to start the thought process. Yep. Apart from Amy's, McNamara is kind of real. That's a takeoff of the campaign. And it's their real video as well. Any other questions? Yep.
So for cost estimate for putting something like this together, are we just thinking about our own videography if we wanted to do video, or our own coding if we wanted to do some kind of augmented reality feature, and then the printing would basically,
Printing doesn't change.
okay.
Right.
So printing cost stays the
A
same.
printed piece is a printed piece. All you're doing is basically uploading whatever that printed piece is so you can scan it. So that doesn't change at all, the printing, yeah.
Okay.
So you're looking at your cost for producing the video, whether you do it in-house or certainly we can do that for you, and your cost for producing the interactive features. And again, if that's something you want to get into, you have the ability to do that, then that's great. Otherwise, we're available for that too.
Okay.
Yeah. And happy to work with you on, just talking about projects and costs. I mean, obviously every project is different and there are varying complexities to doing this. So every project will be very different. Any other questions? All right, I think that'll do it for us other than hang out, try these out. Thank you very much for coming. And have a great